Hello everyone, this is Jason with Shy Snake Games, and today I have an update on one of our game mechanics. I'm going to talk about how time progresses in Spy DNA. At its core, Spy DNA is a simulation. So this means we're trying to simulate as best we can the flow of real combat. This means that your currency in the game is time. So a character can only do something while time is progressing, and the same applies to NPCs in the game. In Spy DNA, you're often controlling more than one character. On this mission, I've brought 3. Our commander, and I also brought our 2 close range experts that are specialized in hand-to-hand fighting. We don't normally use them in the demo videos, so I decided this was a good opportunity to let everyone see them. Now, when you first start a mission, the first thing you'll notice is the game starts, characters load, and time is progressing. If you look up on the top right, you'll see how many minutes we've been sitting here since I loaded this level. If I hit the spacebar on the keyboard or if I click on the HUD, I can pause the flow of time. So I'll do that now. And with that, nothing is progressing. So you can look around, you can evaluate things, you can decide what you want to do. I'll even have a quick look at our map here. Please forgive us the state of the HUD. You'll notice the background image isn't quite right. I literally just finished working on it and getting things unbroken enough I could make this video for you, and as soon as I'm done, I will go back to working on it. So I'll unpause it, and now we'll go into combat mode, and you'll see the HUD turns red. So the idea behind our combat mode is that time will only progress when all your characters have an action that they are doing. So right now, if you look in the bottom, you'll see they're all showing as idle. We currently have Ross selected, so we'll give him something to do. We'll just send him off into the distance here, just so he has an action to do. And when I do that, you'll notice the screen pans, selects the next character who does not have something to do, and I will also give our commander an action, and then it does the same thing, so we go to our third character. And once everyone has an action, time progresses and they execute the action. But Ross was the first to finish his action because he moved the shortest distance and is fairly quick. So as soon as that happens, it pauses. I can now give him something additional to do if I wanted. But instead, I want to show you something else. So on our HUD, you'll see these 4 buttons which determine when the game will auto-pause. And these are for the party. So right now, if I see an enemy, if I am attacked, or if someone is injured, the game is going to stop so I can react and take whatever steps are necessary. By default, contacts isn't set because that will auto-pause on spotting any neutral player, which is often too aggressive. However, we put the buttons directly on the HUD rather than in the game settings, so you can adjust these on the fly as you see fit, because it will often be that you want to pause, for instance, on contacts until you see someone, and then you'll decide what to do then. It's entirely up to you. So since the playthrough, we've made some changes to how you interact to tell a character to wait. So in the previous one, you saw the options delay and wait. We've replaced those with more fine-grained control so you can decide what you actually want to wait for rather than just some amount of time. At the bottom, you see orders. This is the same command that was in the playthrough called wait. It tells the character to simply wait until you tell them what to do. So it now shows he is delaying, basically means waiting. And I can cancel that at any time. I just right-click on his portrait, and he's back and ready to take an order. So after telling him to wait, it had selected the next character. So let me go back to Ross and select him again. And since he's not currently this selected, I can either click on his portrait or I can click on him in the 3D view, and in this case I'll use the 3D view. So you'll see 3 other options here. Those are enemy, contact, and combat. Basically, I can tell him to wait for one of those conditions. Enemy means he will stop waiting as soon as he sees someone that is hostile. Again, now because he has something to do, the game will automatically select one of the other characters. The reason we're implementing this type of mechanic for the characters is instead of something like Overwatch. The problem with Overwatch is that it ties the player's hands. What you're doing is telling the character, shoot the first thing you see. Or at least the first thing you see that's hostile. The problem is you often then end up wasting something like your most powerful sniper on some character that may have like one hit point left or may be almost dead. We don't want that in our game because you are in control. We want to make sure that once they've spotted their thing, you can now make the decision of how do you want to respond to that thing. We don't want to merge the response action with the wait for something to happen, because those really should be two separate actions. I should also briefly mention what combat does. Combat is telling your character to wait until combat starts. So a good use case for that would be is if you want a character who has a good view of the enemy to not start engaging them until your other characters are also engaging them. So you could set them on combat, finish getting your other characters in position, and then have everyone attack at once. And now I want to talk about one more thing. So if you remember from our early Kickstarter video, we had a command queuing where you could issue multiple commands and have the character do those before returning. Now we still have that functionality. So now I can pause the game. And the reason I pause it is so that time doesn't start moving as soon as I give the first order. So I can queue up these 3 movement commands if I want to give my commander a path. And you can see he starts the path as soon as I unpause it. And now I'll send Nuri up ahead.
Enjoying the show.
And you can see he's continuing to execute those commands I'd queued up. The reason we went to a more fine-grained model where we pause more often rather than always queuing up commands is we found when we watched players actually playing it, they would queue up a lot of commands and then inevitably have to change what they queued up. You're allowed to change your mind, and we wanted to bake that into the game, and so by default we tried to smooth out as much as possible the use of fine-grained actions. But we didn't take away the ability to queue multiple actions. What we found was that it's often desirable to be able to queue up something like movement so that you can effectively set yourself waypoints, but the more complex things like move and then shoot never really worked out in practice because the enemy probably moves also. Because of that, we focused on smoothing out as much as we could the issuing of the small commands such that it was easy for the player and just kind of naturally flows. So that's all I have for this update. Thanks for watching, and feel free to look us up at spydna.com. And if you have not seen the playthrough of the full mission, please have a look at it. Thanks for watching. Bye.